Happy Monday. I'm calling an audible today. Last week we started into the little three-part parable about lost things, lost coin, lost sheep, lost son, the prodigal son. Great parable, great, profound parable that I'm anxious to get back to. But in the last 12 hours, I've had two conversations with people, bumped into two people from Christ Church. In one case, somebody pretty involved, and in another case, somebody not so involved. But in both cases, in the conversation pretty quickly, they said, in essence, I don't know that I'm going to make it. And so we ended up in a conversation about what was behind that, and then a conversation about hope and about resilience and about next steps and other things. So I'm putting the prodigal son on hold for the week, and I want us to think about hope. I have actually been dialed into thinking about hope for some time, for reasons I'll explain as this goes along. One of them, though, just to note, going to be preaching on the last part of Romans 12. Most of Romans 12. We just started it in the renewal series, but Romans 12:12 calls on us to be joyful in hope. Now, there's all kinds of other places that talk about hope. Paul writes about it at some length in Romans and Ephesians, and then Peter talks about it. 1 Peter 3, we're told that we're to be ready in season or out to offer a defense and an explanation for the hope that is within us. Job says, though you slay me, I will hope in him. David will talk about the hope in the Psalms, how his hope comes from God. So the word hope shows up a lot of places. I want to talk about hope because I do think that it can help you get through whatever you're going through. Now, let me just step back and note a couple things. First of all, my observation is that we're moving through this particular moment in very different situations. So some people are having, this moment, the COVID and the lockdown and all the whatever that has meant to you. Some people are saying, life has never been easier, life has never been better, I don't have to travel, I'm in an industry that's making, we're printing cash right now, or whatever, life just got simpler. And so lots of people are saying, I'm good. My frustration is they're minimal. Other people are really struggling. And there's just a lot of stress and anxiety and cooped up and fear about illness or lost loved ones or think you're going to lose your job. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of self-medicating going on out there. There's a lot of depression. And so I'm obviously when I talk about hope, I'm directing that at those who are more in the second category. And then it depends here, next steps depend to some extent on what's actually going on. I find some people just need somebody to listen to them for a little bit, and they can process some of this stuff on their own. I think there's a growing hunger for that right now. And maybe you could be somebody that just listens to somebody and lets them process. I find other people need to be reminded that how many things are actually going well and how many of our problems are sort of first world problems. Somebody said we have a bunch of champagne problems. So I think some people honestly need to just stop listening to the news all the time. I think the news has changed in the last few years. I think the economics of the news explains a lot of this. It used to be that there were a lot more reporters working for newspapers, and they had more time to investigate stories, and they were not so beholden to their readers. They were more ad-driven than they were subscription-based driven. Now there's 2 million bloggers, and so there's not that many people working for newspapers. They're not fact-checking stories. There's a lot of false news that gets entered into the system to sort of manipulate us. There's the fact that people are the same people who were writing articles 10 years ago who are understating things and having relatively conservative headlines. Now, because they're getting paid based on clicks, are being a little bit more scandalous and salacious in the way they describe things. It's a topic for another day, but I find that a lot of people are agitated over things. Hey, I'm agitated. There's some bad stuff out there. There's concerns about inflation and supply chain, and I don't like what China's saying about Taiwan. Look, there's always bad stuff out there. I think some people are missing how much we're getting wound up for other reasons. Here is the one thing I will leave you with today. Many people misunderstand the call to hope in the Bible. Hope is a word a little bit like the word shalom, the Hebrew word shalom, which gets translated peace. Yes, technically, but it's so much bigger than our word peace. For us, in many times, peace just means an absence of conflict. Shalom means thriving, and it's a flourishing. It's not just no war, it's the opposite of that. The word hope, we use it today almost in its exact opposite meaning. Are you gonna get that project done? I hope so, which means I'm not sure. I hope that it's going to turn out that way. That's an English. It's an American use of the word hope. The Greek word hope, elpis, is a word for certainty. And it's not based on circumstance, it's based on God and his trustworthiness. So, what you need today is biblical hope. We'll talk more about it tomorrow.